We're standing in the magnificent Crystal Palace subway, which sits in the heart of this incredible 200-acre park. We're really excited about opening up this space to the public. Everyone that walks into the space are immediately connected back to that experience of passengers as they walked through the space into the glorious Crystal Palace.
The Crystal Palace, the first great glass and steel modular building, was put up in Hyde Park in 1851. And when it was taken down, the guy who designed it, Joseph Paxton, thought he'd really like to have it up on a longer basis. And so he acquired this land and he created what was probably the world's first theme park, with the Crystal Palace at its head and this marvellous landscape going down and down and down the park through all its many wonderful layers: the Italian terrace, the English landscaped garden, the fantastic dinosaurs and beautiful lakes and so forth. And inside the palace was a wonderful cornucopia of delight: Egyptian palace architecture and Greek temples, and there was statuary all over the place.
This was built in 1865 to provide a new entrance that took visitors directly into Crystal Palace. And it had to be a grand entrance as well. The palace was all about show and display, and you had an approach to the palace that was sufficiently impressive. And this is what they came up with, and I think they achieved it. The palace burnt down in 1936. It's the only bit of the palace that survives. Back behind me was the station. They built a new station, the high-level station they called it. It was on the other side of Crystal Palace Parade, this great big old, and you brought the passengers into this grand atrium, and this was a big moment for going into the palace.
It was designed by Charles Berry Jr., whose father, of course, was the architect responsible for rebuilding the Palace of Westminster. He also designed the new station. He was a great Victorian architect. He loved his multicoloured brickwork. It consists of two main parts. We've got the vaulted section here underneath the parade road, and then we've got this wonderful hall that we are standing in now. The hall itself was a ruin from the 1970s when the roof was taken off. When we came to the restoration of the roof, we decided we wouldn't follow the original design, which was in two ridges. We didn't want central posts as he had in his design, so we've come up with this new design. So good conservation doesn't necessarily mean having to repeat what was always there beforehand. The vaults themselves are quite remarkable. They were beautifully set out in order for the brickwork to meet up perfectly in the centres between the columns. And there he put a gasolier, a cast iron plate, which was fed by gas from the road above, so the place was lit up for the visitors to come in.
It feels a bit like a cathedral. I think it feels like it's got a kind of Moorish feel to me. But everybody says, different people say it's Byzantine, I say it's Moorish, it's not any of those things. It's kind of Victorian imagination.
Now, the station was eventually demolished in 1961, but the subway survived. It collapsed in on itself. Walls collapsed, and there was a lot of earth and a lot of dereliction. There was a local sentiment and a local love and a local attachment, and they kept the memory of the subway alive. And it just took the rest of the world a little bit of time to catch up. And so it's a wonderful story about how if you listen to local people and follow their energy, you end up by discovering heritage and then bringing it out of the ground for people to enjoy. So there's a wonderful group called the Friends of Crystal Palace Subway who campaigned and advocated and rattled cages until they managed to get people to listen, and they raised the money, and they partnered up with London Borough of Bromley and Historic England to restore this subway, and they have done an absolutely magnificent job. People have been flooding in. I think the first weekend we threw the restored subway open to the public. Just come and have a look. 2,250 people came to see it, and they queued right the way down the park and round the block.
Crystal Palace Park Trust are the new custodians of this park, and we've been tasked with caring and maintaining for the park and all of the assets, including this incredibly restored subway. We'll have regular open days for the public to just come in and explore, but we'll also be able to use it as an event space for weddings, anniversary parties. It'll be a great location for fashion shoots. We're planning some pop-up cinema in here over the next couple of months and some craft markets. So really the opportunities are endless.